There is a ton of information online about how to build a better physique, how to get in better shape, but there's also a ton of bullshit online that just ends up confusing a lot of people. And in today's video, I want to show you exactly the no bullshit guide on how to build a better physique. This is the exact guide and the exact process that I use to go from 140 unconfident kid to 180 jacked and confident. This is the exact process that I help all my clients out with as well, and I'm giving it to you guys all for free today, so let's get started. So essentially you need 4 things in order to make a long-lasting transformation that you can have for the rest of your life. You know, we're not trying to just get in shape for a month or 2 months and then you gain all the weight back. We are trying to get in better shape, build a great physique, and stay that way for the rest of your life. And it is possible to do that if you have these 4 things. So training, nutrition, habits, and mindset. Now, most people can have just a couple of these things, but in order to see an actual long-lasting transformation and actually build a great physique, you need to have all 4 of these. I'm going to break down each one of these individually, go into more depth of exactly how you should train, how you should eat, the habits you should have, and the mindset you should have in order to build this great physique. Alright, so when it comes to training, there are a few things that we should go over. So the first thing that everyone always asks is, how often should I train? Now, this is going to depend from person to person. If you're someone who's been consistently going to the gym, you've been going to the gym for years now, you can go more often than someone who's just getting into the gym, right? Obviously, that's the case. Now, I've been going to the gym for 8 years. I go 5 to 6 times per week. If you're someone who is just getting started in the gym, the thing you need to understand the most is, okay, I need to go to the gym to get in better shape, obviously. But how many days can I 100% get to the gym? Because at the end of the day, consistency is the thing that matters the most. If you're going to the gym 1 week 5 times, right, but that's super unsustainable for you, the next week you go 3 times, the next week you go 2 times, then you take a whole week off, that's not consistent. You need to dedicate a specific amount of time, a specific amount of days each week to go to the gym. It doesn't matter how much it is. It could be 2, it could be 3 days a week. But just make sure you can 100% get there those 2 or 3 days a week, right? So that's the first thing. Now, with that being said, going 6 days per week is not necessarily double how much better going 3 days a week is, right? It doesn't work that way. 6 days a week can be better than 3, but it's about how you're training, right? So the next thing is progressive overload. Now, this is absolutely key, and this is the thing that I teach the most in my one-on-one coaching program, is how to use progressive overload. So essentially, progressive overload is increasing the weights, increasing the reps each week so that you are consistently getting stronger. You're pushing yourself to get stronger. Your body is not going to build muscle if you're not forcing it to build muscle. So if you're going into the gym and you're just going through the motions, you're doing your 3 sets of 10 for every single exercise, you're not forcing your muscles to get stronger. Your body has no reason to build muscle if you're not forcing it to build muscle. So you need to go into the gym and use progressive overload. You should go into the gym, know what exercises you're doing, know how many reps you did, how much weight you did last time, and then you need to progress each week. And the progression doesn't have to be significant. It can be 5 pounds, or it can be 2.5 pounds, or it can be an extra rep. It can be real small gradual increases, because that's how it should be. You're not going to be able to add a significant amount of weight each week. Like, you're going to be, especially in the beginning, you are going to be able to gain weight, or you're going to be able to increase the weight and reps a lot faster than someone who's more experienced, because your body isn't used to it in the beginning. But you should be trying to increase the weights or increase the reps each time you're in the gym. That way you're forcing your muscle to actually be built. That leads me to the next thing, and that's tracking your workouts. See, there are so many people that go to the gym. I go to the gym every single day, pretty much every single day, and I see practically no one track their workouts. And it's super simple. You can track your workouts on an app. You can track it in your notes app on your phone. You can walk around like the people did before phones were a thing and just write it down on a notepad. Whatever works for you, do that. But the reason you track your workouts is so that you know if you're actually progressing or not, right? I can barely remember what I ate for dinner yesterday, let alone what I did last chest day, which was 5 days ago. You need to track your workouts so that you know, okay, I did 3 sets of this last week. I used 100 pounds on my top set. I got 10 reps. This week, I'm going to try for 11 reps. Or this week, I'm going to use 105 pounds. You need to make sure that you're progressing, because if you're not tracking, you're not sure if you're actually increasing the weights over time. You're not sure if you're increasing the reps each time. And by knowing what you did the prior week, it's going to internally, your mind is going to be like, okay, I did this many reps last time. Your mind's not going to let you fail below that amount, because then you're going to be thinking in your head, oh my God, I'm getting weaker. And that's the exact point of tracking, so that you're making sure that you're progressing each week. And lastly is consistency. And I kind of already talked about this, but consistency is absolutely key. It's going to go into all 4 of these subsections, but when it comes to training, if you're going to the gym one week 3 times, the next week you're going 4, the next week you take a whole week off, like, you're not being consistent. And that's what a lot of people do. A lot of people aren't consistent with how many days a week they're going to the gym. They're not consistent with the exercises they're doing and how many sets they're doing. They're kind of just all over the place. The people that see the best results are consistent. They're consistently going to the gym. It doesn't matter if they're seeing super slow progress or if they're seeing a lot of progress. They're going to the gym, they're doing what they need to do in order to see progress. At the end of the day, if you want to build a great physique, you have to be consistent, and you have to be consistent with your training. All right, so number 2 is nutrition. Now, training's all good and everything, and you obviously need to train to stimulate muscle growth, but if you're eating like shit, you're gonna look like shit. Sorry to break it to you. Your nutrition is going to play a major role in how good your physique looks. Honestly, you could train very, very mediocre, and if you're just being consistent with going every once in a while, but your diet is locked in, you're going to look a lot better than someone who's going to the gym every single day, but their nutrition sucks. First off is calories in versus calories out. This is essentially the entire breakdown of this entire subsection of nutrition. In order to lose weight, you need to be eating in a calorie deficit, which means you need to be eating less food than you're burning each day. If you're trying to gain weight, you need to be eating in a calorie surplus, which means you need to be eating more than you're burning. That's essentially what it comes down to. So how do you figure out how many calories you need in order to gain weight or lose weight, whatever your goal is? You're gonna go to TDEE calculator on Google, online, and there's a bunch of them. You're going to type in your information, your height, your weight, your age, your activity level. Be as honest as possible, because if you're dishonest, you're going to get a very inaccurate number and you're not going to see as much progress. Now, it's going to give you an estimated amount of calories that you need in order to stay the exact same weight that you're currently at, otherwise known as your maintenance calories. Now, in order to figure out how many calories you should be eating, you need to either increase or decrease that number based on what your goal is. So if you're trying to lose weight and it gives you an estimated amount of calories of, let's say, 3,000 calories. If you want to lose weight, you should be eating less than 3,000 calories a day. Now, what I would recommend is that you go anywhere from 200 to 300 calories below that number, or up to like 500 calories below that. And same goes for if you're trying to gain weight. So if your maintenance calories is 3,000 calories and you want to gain weight, I would eat 3,300, and then upwards of 3,500 calories. Now, once you know the amount of calories that you are eating, you need to figure out your macronutrients. Now, your macronutrients are consumed of protein, carbs, and fats. And they're all super important, but I'm going to break them down right now. So when it comes to protein is going to help you build muscle. And if you don't get enough protein in, if you're losing weight, gaining weight, you're not going to be building as much muscle as you possibly could. Now, this is super important when you are losing weight, because if you aren't getting enough protein in, you run the risk of losing muscle mass when you're losing weight. And that is the opposite of what you want to do when you're trying to get in better shape. So when it comes to protein, how much protein should you be having? You should be aiming to get around 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. That's the easiest thing that you can do. Just know, okay, if I weigh 200 pounds, I'm going to be eating 200 grams of protein. Now, if you're someone who's super overweight, you're someone who's like 250 pounds, and you need to lose 50 plus pounds of fat, eating 250 grams of protein is very, very difficult, and you're probably not eating a bunch of protein to start off with either. So making that huge change from the start can be very intimidating and be very difficult. So what a lot of people say is just to go after your goal weight. So if your goal weight is 200 pounds, you weigh 250 right now, then I would recommend eating around 200 grams of protein. It's going to be a lot easier for you, and you're still going to be able to maintain and build muscle while you're losing weight. So next up is your fats. And see, the thing is with fats is a lot of people are going to think, oh my God, if I eat a big amount of fats, I'm going to get fat. Not even close to the right thing. Your fats are going to help you feel better. They're going to help regulate your hormones, and they're super important that you get enough of them in your diet so that you don't feel like crap the entire time that you're losing weight or gaining weight, right? Now, if you're gaining weight, this is definitely less of a thing to worry about because you're going to get enough fats in your diet because you're going to be eating a significant amount of calories. But if you're losing weight, it is very important that you get enough fats so that you don't run the risk of feeling like absolute crap, feeling hungry all the time while you're losing weight, because that's the opposite of what we want. Now, when it comes to fats, it's pretty simple. I would just say as long as you're getting at least 25% of your daily calories from fats, you're good to go. A little bit higher than that's always good as well, but don't go much below 25% because then you run the risk of being super hungry all the time, feeling like crap, feeling lethargic, all of that, and that's not what we want at all. And then lastly is going to be your carbs. You're just going to fill in the rest of your calories with carbs. And you should primarily put these carbs before and after your workouts. Your carbs are going to help with your energy levels, and if you put them before your workout, you're going to have energy for your workout, and then you're going to use all those carbs up in your workout. And so then your glycogen stores are going to need refilled. So then after your workout, you're going to refill them by eating some carbs as well. Now, if you eat carbs for in the morning or later at night, or not close to your workout, that's fine. But I would definitely have your higher carb meals around before your workout and after your workout. Okay, so now that we know how many calories we should be eating, we know how to structure our macros, what foods should we be eating, how do we fit in these foods into our macros. Now, the food that you should be eating the most of is our whole foods. And whole foods are anything that comes from the earth. And I'm going to list off a bunch of them right now that you guys should be eating. But that should be the primary part of your diet. So when it comes to protein sources, it should be, chicken, ground beef, steak, ground turkey, eggs, egg whites, Greek yogurt, whey protein, any of those options. Fish, tons of options. Tons of options for protein. When it comes to carbs, you got your oats, we got your rice, white or brown rice. You got your sweet potatoes, you got your regular potatoes, and you have whole wheat bread is perfectly fine. You got your fruits and vegetables as well. Vegetables really aren't that, they're not really carbohydrates, but there's a little bit of carbs in there. But obviously vegetables are important for your diet. And then for fats, you got the meats that you're going to be eating. Some of those meats have fat in them, like your ground beef, like your steak, like your fish. But you can also get them from eggs, avocados, nut butters, seeds, things of that nature. Oils as well. Now, if you're trying to lose weight, I would definitely stay away from the oils because they can be very, very caloric. But if you're trying to gain weight, oils are definitely a good thing to have. Now, that's the primary part of your diet is going to be those types of foods, those healthier food options. But the last thing is sustainability. And this is kind of where we don't want to be dieting and we don't want to hate our diet. We don't want to just be eating strictly whole foods and hate every single meal that we're having because that's unsustainable. So that's why I usually go with the 80-20 approach where 80% of the foods you should be eating are going to be coming from whole foods. But the other 20% can come from whatever else you want. And that way, you're still eating healthier, you're still hitting your calories, still hitting your macros, but you're still eating your favorite food. So maybe your favorite food is going to Five Guys and getting a massive greasy cheeseburger, right? That's probably like 1,500 calories or something crazy like that, and it's not healthy for you. But if you can fit it in your calories and macros and you know ahead of time, hey, I'm going to Five Guys today, I'm going to eat, I know that's going to be about 1,500 calories. The other 1,000 calories that I'm going to be eating today, I'm going to make sure they're lower calorie meals, they're mostly whole foods, they're high in protein, I'm getting my vegetables in, all of those things, because if that way you're still hitting your calories, you're still hitting your macros, you're still eating your favorite food, and you're still getting those whole foods in. So at the end of the day, that's the only way it's going to be sustainable. If you're strictly eating whole foods for every single meal, you will give up. And that's why so many people go on diets and they lose 10 to 15 pounds, 20 pounds, and then they gain it all back because they get all these cravings at the end of these diets, and it's unsustainable. You know, when you're on a diet and you're cutting out these foods that you enjoy and you've been eating for years and years and years, and your body's just so used to them and you love them so much, if you cut them out completely, you're gonna have cravings. You're gonna binge eat. You're gonna gain the weight back. And this happens so often. But when you have this sustainable approach where you're eating this 80-20 rule, where you're primarily eating whole foods, but you can still implement those favorite foods, those bad foods into your diet, it's gonna be sustainable and you're gonna be able to eat this way for the rest of your life, and it's not gonna be hard. Now, the last thing I'm gonna say about nutrition is, when you're eating these whole foods and you're eating these healthier foods, it doesn't mean they need to be bland and boring. You don't just need to eat chicken, rice, and broccoli with just salt and pepper on that. Like, that is not a sustainable way either. You're not gonna like that meal, right? You need to be eating those whole foods, but you need to be using a bunch of different spices. You need to be using low-calorie sauces. You need to look up recipes and try out different recipes and find stuff that you really, really enjoy. That way you're going to be actually starting to crave those healthier options. Like, I've been eating this way for the past probably 4 to 5 years now, and I can tell you, I crave the healthy foods now. Like, don't get me wrong, I'll crave pizza and a cheeseburger from time to time too, but when it comes to, like, when I'm dieting and I'm primarily only eating these healthy foods, I'm really not cheating on my diet at all, I'm craving these healthy food options like ground beef with vegetables or my chicken and rice, because I love the way that I cook it. I love the spices that I use. I love the recipe that I use. And that's absolutely key. That's absolutely key if you want to actually have a sustainable diet and actually see the best results possible. Okay, and number 3 is your habits. Now, there's a bunch of habits that you can do. You can have a whole entire morning routine, a nightly routine that you do every single day if that helps you reach your goals. I personally don't really have a morning routine or a nightly routine that's like super specific to me, you know, achieving my goals. But if you have a specific morning routine, like you're journaling or maybe you take a cold shower, these things that you do on a consistent basis, those are good. Those are definitely good. I'm not going to say that they're bad, but I just personally don't do them. They're not going to make any significant change in your physique, but certain habits that I have all my clients do are actually important to actually getting you closer to your goals. And I'm going to explain each one. So the first one is weighing yourself every single day. Now, a lot of people do not like to do this because they see the scale, and if it doesn't go down every single day, or if it doesn't go up every single day, then they're going to get discouraged and they're going to maybe undereat on purpose to make sure the scale goes down, and that's not what you want. At the end of the day, your weight is going to fluctuate every single day based on a number of factors. How much water you're intaking, the types of food you ate the day before. If you have something that has a bunch of salt in it, your body is going to hold more water, so you're most likely going to weigh more the next day. If you have to take a massive shit and you weigh yourself before that, you're probably going to weigh a little bit more. There's, sleep quality, if you're stressed, all that stuff can play into how much you weigh on a day-to-day basis. Now, the reason you weigh yourself every single day is it's just a habit. You start the day off, you weigh yourself when you're fasted, and that's the most accurate weight. And if you can weigh yourself every single day, again, you're building a habit, but the key is just to see if there's a gradual trend downwards in your weight each week. And the thing is a lot of people will weigh themselves once per week. But let's say you weigh yourself every Monday morning, and you weigh yourself one day, you're 200 pounds. The next week you weigh yourself, next Monday, you're 199. The next week you weigh yourself and you're 200 pounds again. Well, then you're going to think, oh my God, I'm no longer in a calorie deficit, but I need to decrease my calories. But the thing is your weight could have fluctuated that specific day. You could have ate something that had a lot of sodium in it, like I said before, the day before on that Sunday, and then when you weigh yourself Monday, you're actually a pound or two heavier than you usually are, and you could still be losing weight. But the thing is if you weigh yourself every single day, you're going to see those fluctuations, but it's going to go more into like a trend of like, you're going to start here at 200 and you're going to go down and it's going up the next day and then down again and then up a little bit and then down. As long as you're seeing this downward trend, then you're good to go. And if it goes, 2 to 3 weeks and you haven't lost any weight, then it's time to decrease the calories or increase your movement or something like that so that you can continue to see progress. But don't just limit yourself to one day weighing yourself. Weigh yourself every single day. Do not pay attention to the scale on a day-to-day basis. Just weigh yourself, track it, and that's it. The next thing is your water intake. So a lot of people do not drink enough water, and that's obviously not good. Most people are very dehydrated. And especially when you first wake up. When you first wake up, you're not going to be hydrated at all. So it's very important to get some water in when you first wake up. If you don't have enough water, your workouts aren't going to be as good either. So it's definitely important to drink water. I have all my clients drink around a gallon of water each day. And this is also super important for people who are trying to lose weight, because a lot of times when you are in a calorie deficit and your body's telling you that you're hungry, a lot of times it's because you're actually thirsty. And if you just take and you drink a glass of water, 12 to 16 ounces of water, it can temporarily get rid of those hunger signals that your body's telling your brain. So drink your water, drink around a gallon. I know it's hard for a lot of people, but eventually it will get a lot easier, especially if you're carrying around like a gallon jug, or I carry around a 32 ounce jug of water, and I fill it up 4 times throughout the day, which equates to a gallon. And it's a lot. It's very simple. It's very easy for me to drink throughout the entire day. Next up are your steps. Now, this is going to depend on if you're trying to gain weight or lose weight, but I still think no matter what your goal is, you should be trying to get some steps in throughout the day. Stay active, right? We don't want to be, especially if you're someone who works a job where you're sitting down all day, you want to stay as active as possible. So I have all my guys try to get at least 10,000 steps each day. Most people that work an office job, that's going to be very difficult for them. And you have to go out of your way to get those steps in. So you either have to do some cardio at the gym, you need to take the longer route if you're walking somewhere. Maybe park farther away when you go to the grocery store or when you go to the gym. That way you're getting some extra steps in. I have a walking pad where I just, it's a mini treadmill. I have it in my room, and I do that while I work sometimes, or when I'm watching TV or scrolling on my phone. It's just an easy way to get steps in. You can go for an extra walk after you eat lunch or dinner. You can take your dog for an extra walk. There's all these different options that you can do to get these steps in, but especially when you're trying to lose weight, getting these extra steps in can really add up, because if you are walking more, right, it's not very fatiguing. You're just walking at a normal rate. But by getting extra couple thousand steps, you're actually burning a good amount of calories, and over the course of a week you could be burning an extra couple hundred calories that you otherwise wouldn't be, and those can really add up. And if you're able to get these steps in without doing fatiguing cardio, then it's going to be very easy calories burned. So get your steps in. You don't have to go overboard. You don't have to get 20,000 steps. That's ridiculous, but you should be trying to be a little bit more active at the end of the day, because it'll help you burn more calories. And lastly is consistency. Now, nothing becomes a habit unless you're doing it, I think it's for like 21 days straight before it actually becomes a habit. So you have to be consistent with all of these things, and other things too. If you want to have like I said before, a morning routine or a night routine, those things don't become habits unless you're doing them on a consistent basis. Especially with training and nutrition too. Like a new diet and tracking your food and eating this way is not going to become a habit unless you do it consistently. You're training. It's not going to be a habit for you to go to the gym 3, 4, 5 days a week if you're not used to it right now. It's not going to become a habit unless you start going there consistently for 3 weeks plus, and then it'll eventually become a habit. So consistency is absolutely key. All right, so lastly is mindset. Now, I could write an entire bunch of bullet points on this about mindset, because there are so many different topics when it comes to mindset. I just made a video last week about mindset. If you want to check it out, go back to my recent videos, but I'm just going to talk about a couple of these. So first one is discipline over motivation, right? There are going to be days when you don't want to do certain things. You're not going to want to train. You're not going to want to eat healthy. You're not going to want to wake up early. You're not going to want to get your steps in. You're going to want to be lazy. Like, there are so many of those days. Like, I literally today did not want to get out of bed and do legs. But
what got me out of bed and actually go and train in the gym was discipline. Discipline is built over an extended period of time, but you have to stop relying on motivation because motivation comes and goes. Discipline is built over time, like I said, but discipline is by doing the things that you know need to get done regardless of how you feel. You need to do these things, you need to do these tasks every single day because it's going to get you one step closer to your goals. And if you don't do them, then you're not going to get to your goals, right? It just comes down to how important these goals are for you. Is losing weight and getting into better shape and building a great physique, is that important to you? Because if it is, then discipline is going to be easily built. But if it's not that big of a deal for you and you're like, I'd rather be comfortable, I'd rather stay the same than, I'd rather take the day off from the gym than, get in better shape. Like, it's okay, I can take a day off. I can take the weekend off. I can, go party on the weekends. It's not going to hurt my goals that much. Then it's going to be very, very hard for you to make a big transformation in your physique because you don't have discipline. Discipline takes time to build, but when your goal is big enough and it means that much to you, it's going to be easily built. Next up is no one's coming to save you, right? You have to do all this stuff on your own. Sure, you can reach out to a coach, you can reach out to someone like me, and I can help you out and I can help build you a plan, right? And it's going to give you the step-by-step plan on how that you can go from your current situation to your goal and your dream physique. But I can't lift the weights for you. I can't put the food in your mouth. You have to do those things. I can't say go to bed now, you're going to go to bed and you're going to get 8 hours of sleep. Like, these things are all on you. And if you are dependent on other people to get to where you want to go, then you're not going to get there. You have to look at yourself and be like, listen, like, I have to do this on my own. No one is going to help me get in better shape. I can use the information I learn. I can gain the motivation from someone else. I can, someone can hold me accountable. But these people aren't going to make me get in better shape. That's on you. And that's the thing. When I help my clients transform their physiques, I let them know that, sure, I did help them, but please take pride in the fact that you are the person who was able to make that transformation. Like, I wasn't the one who transformed you. You were the one who did that. And so no one is coming to save you. You need to do it on your own. And lastly, this is possible for every single person, right? So many people think that they can't get into better shape because of their genetics or their lifestyle, their job, their friends, whatever. It's an excuse at the end of the day. People love to make excuses for why they aren't where they want to be. And they see someone else who has a great physique, or they see someone who has a lot more money than them, or a better job, or a more attractive partner, and they just automatically make excuses of why that person has those things and why they don't. And it's just a coping mechanism. You need to stop making excuses. All of this is possible. The amount of people that saw me after I made my transformation and were shocked by the complete transformation that I made. Because again, like I said, I was 140 pounds. I was very skinny, got pushed around a lot, and was not confident in myself at all. And the amount that I transformed, not just physically, but mentally, my confidence is completely different than it was back then. People are I'm a completely different person. And not many people, not even myself in the beginning, would have thought it was possible. But it is. It's possible for every single person. But it goes back to every single thing I said before this, where you have to be consistent with your training, your nutrition, your habits, and also having a belief in yourself that it is possible, right? You got to look and you got to see how many people have made there's a lot of people that have made great transformations online. And the common denominator between all of them is they were consistent and they believed it was possible. It doesn't just happen overnight, and it doesn't happen to people that, just pray and say, "Oh, I hope I can get into better shape." No, like, they realized that they have to be consistent, they have to do these certain things, and they believed it was possible. So you need to believe in yourself that it is possible. You have to understand it's going to take a long time. It's going to take some people 3 months to get in great shape. It's going to take other people years. But if you have a belief in yourself and it actually is a massive goal for you, you can do it. So that's pretty much everything, guys. That is the no bullshit guide on how to get into better shape. This is literally every single thing that I did from the beginning of my fitness journey to where I'm at now, what I'm still doing every single day, because like I said, consistency is key. And just because I did it in the beginning of my fitness journey doesn't mean I just stop now that I'm in great shape. I'm continuing to do it because I want to continue to keep this physique and keep improving upon it. And this is the exact approach I give all my clients as well. And like I said before, some guys are going to get in shape in 3 months. Some guys are going to take 6 months. Some guys are going to take years to do so. Everyone's different, right? But at the end of the day, you have to stay consistent and you have to believe in yourself that it is possible, because it is. And if you have a massive goal like this, it is possible for you to get in shape. You just have to put in the work necessary. Now, if you're someone who wants to work with me one-on-one personally, I want you to click the first link in the description. You can book a call with me and we'll talk about your goals, your struggles, and how I can help you transform your physique, build the dream physique that you're looking for in as little as 3 to 6 months. And if you guys enjoyed today's video, make sure to drop a like, subscribe for more. I post videos every single week. Check out the rest of my videos. Follow me on Instagram, the link in the description, and I'll see you guys next week.